Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Today is July 21st. We are almost at the end of July. August is almost here. August is the birth month of myself and my sibling. And I tend to take some time off in August. So I'll do another stream next week. And then you guys probably won't see me here for a while. There are some big decisions to make um, business wise in terms of the technology, which service to use to continue streaming. StreamYard is very, very convenient, but StreamYard, like a lot of other companies, has raised its costs. So as a business owner, you have to constantly be thinking about how to keep your own business solvent, and sometimes that involves switching to another service. All right, Cynical Optimist, you're the first one in. Let me salute to you. He says, salute Dr. Dunbar. Cynical Optimist, you do not have a wrench. You're always here. So I'm saying that in a good and an appreciative way. So you should have a wrench, and I will fix that right now. Tonight, whoever comes in, I suspect more people will file in. Though Jeff St. James is over with Dr. L tonight, so people might be over there watching that. But let's see. Thank you to whoever gave me likes before the stream started. I very much appreciate that. I always appreciate that. I am a smaller channel, so I appreciate any love that I get over here. Oh, Lovely Trust is here. Thank you for being here, Lovely Trust, and thank you for your support on Saturday's science stream. I didn't tell Passport OG that hey man, maybe we should become a tag team. You know, maybe we should become like Batman and Superman. And Toya thinks we should do something a little more regular together. Anyway, please smash that like button on the way in. So tonight's topic is welcome to the stage, Jeff St. James, and thank you for coming. So I have two of his videos. They're the short ones. They're not the ones that have been up online that I'm gonna walk through, but I'm gonna talk about why his coming and why his stepping up on the stage is significant, at least in my eyes. I've been watching the whole thing unfold. And over here I talk about current events and books, and I do interviews. Speaking of which, I'll just say this now before the intro. I didn't post a picture on my community tab, but I have Dr. Ronald Neal's book, Beyond Death and Jail, Anti-Blackness, Black Masculinity, and the Demonic Imagination. So paging Dr. Neal. I'm going to try to read this over the next month. And then Dr. Neal, I will be coming for you, just like I came for Dr. Tiasan Johnson and Aaron Clary and others. So look out for that in September. So I will play the intro, and then we will get started, and then I will finish so I can have some dinner. All right, I'll see you guys on the other side of the intro. My favorite Curtis Schoon intro. There are no political solutions for cultural deficiencies. So, where did this topic come from? So I'm going to admit that because of where I come from, see, in this world, we're all living in different worlds, and not everybody is privy to the same information.
That we will rush to finish things that are important so we can do things that are not. And I believe it's an immaturity there. People just don't understand that, life isn't about having fun all the time. You have to have fun Sometimes I agree. But as an adult, there's time where you have to just say, okay, listen, I got to get down to work right now. And I don't think enough of us value that time or really understand the fruits of that labor. Somehow we think things are just going to be without that kind of effort. And culturally, there's a deficiency there. That's why I always say that there's no political solution for cultural deficiencies.
So, where did this topic come from? So, I'm going to admit that because of where I come from, see, in this world, we're all living in different worlds, and not everybody is privy to the same information. So I wanted to do a stream just capturing this is a current event. Uh, uh, Jeff St. James stepping up on the stage. He's making the rounds. And you know what? I thought about reaching out to him and saying, "Hey, would you come to my platform?" But my platform is small. I have, and I appreciate my subs, but I have about 2,000, just over 2,000 subs. So in this content creator business, typically I mean, he's on a meteoric rise right now. So this might be the time to ask him and try to purchase the stock while it's still here and taking off. But I figured, you know what, I'm a smaller channel. He might not want to come here and talk to uh, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? A smaller content creator like me. So I'm just going to watch for now as things unfold. Before I jump in, um, I peon, that's the word I was thinking about. A peon like me. No, I'm not a peon, but you know what I'm trying to say. So I wanted to, before I jump in, I wanted to acknowledge I got word today that Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away. Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away at the age of 54. Most of us know Malcolm Jamal Warner. Oh, lovely trust. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. She says, not at all. Most of us know Malcolm Jamal Warner for that character right there in the corner, Theo Huxtable. Theo was the lone son of Cliff and Claire Huxtable in The Cosby Show. Of course, The Cosby Show was a classic Black show. Up to that point, we had a lot of images of Black families struggling just to make it. I'm thinking prior to the Jeffersons. I'm thinking about primarily. I'm thinking about Good Times. Okay, Good Times. While that was a classic show in itself, a lot of people, a lot of Black people, that the showing our families only in that light gave a lot of Black families heartburn in the projects, struggling to get by, never being able to get out of the projects. So the Cosby Show was definitely pioneering because it showed a father who was a medical doctor and a mother who was a lawyer, a upper middle class Black family, and Theo was the lone son in that family with what 4 or 5 sisters. And I think this is an appropriate lead-in for tonight's discussion because right now, as I described on this channel, masculinity, what is a man, what isn't a man, who defines what masculinity is, who controls masculinity. That's a topic, that's one of the topics of our time. And I think that you guys, let me know what you think there in the comment section, agree or disagree, or add on to what I'm saying. I was thinking today that while a lot of people disputed the authenticity of the Cosby Show, because that was controversial as well, the fact that there's this upper middle class Black family in Brooklyn in a brownstone that was controversial as well. Does that exist? Is that real? Whether or not it was or not, one of the positives of that show is that it showed a positive relationship between a black father and a black son. And Bill Cosby and Malcolm Jamal Warner definitely portrayed that for us there on that show. So I think that was definitely a huge contribution by both of them. I don't know what role Malcolm had in writing his character, but his portrayal, as in addition to Bill Cosby's as Theo Huxtable and Cliff Huxtable, that added a lot of value to us, because a lot of us didn't see that growing up. A lot of us didn't have that growing up. My parents split when I was 3, so I didn't have a father in the house. And I think that I was, now that I think about it, we're going to talk about the Obamas a little bit and their recent offering. In my book project, that's one of the things, and I'm going to do some advertising at the end. I think in addition to being about basketball, I think as a youngster, that's something I was looking for. I was looking for male guidance. I was looking for brothers. I have an exceptional brother, but I was looking to be a part of a group. So that was more than significant, the Cosby Show, in that regard. So let's move on, because I'm already at 12 minutes. MM, I don't recognize you, but thank you for being here. MM says, I really liked the Cosby Show, but I remember that some thought that the Cosby Show was, just as I described, unattainable, an unattainable and unrelatable show. What's your thoughts, Doctor? And also, rest in peace, Malcolm Jamal Warner. Well, it, as with most things in life, it depends on your point of view. It depends upon where you come from. It depends upon what's in your circle and your sphere growing up and as you progress into adulthood. It's over on my bookshelf. Hold on one second. I'll grab it, because it's germane to this discussion. Hold on. I will swear by this book as well. Our Kind of People Inside of America's Black Upper Class by the late Lawrence Otis Graham. I think Dr. Michael Eric Dyson and others thought that this was simply a celebration of the Black elite, old guard, old money, upper class Black people, Divine Nine, the Boule. But these are actually real people, and there were old guard Black families. Okay, aspirational Black families. Okay, that's real. Okay, social class, economic class is real, and so I don't think that was unattainable with the Cosby Show. I just think that people, if you don't see it in your own sphere, if you don't know people like this or like the Huxtables, then you're going to think that it's unreal. So you guys let me know what you think about that in the chat. All right. So salute to Malcolm Jamal Warner. Rest in power. Apparently he died. Let me pull this back up, and then I promise I'm going to move on. Apparently he drowned. Malcolm drowned. I don't know if he was snorkeling or if he jumped off one of those exotic Central American Caribbean cliffs, but it says he died in Limon, Costa Rica, and they say that he drowned. So I haven't seen the news. You guys let me know what he was doing when he drowned. I do not know at this time. All right. So the coming of Jeff St. James. So I'm going to front this with George Fraser because this is something else that's happening now, and this actually relates to something Jeff talked about when he went on Crimson Cure's channel. I have her book over there as well. I don't have it handy, but they talked about this on her channel when she hosted him, and I've shown this. I've shown this before, so I think this is a good lead in to talking about Jeff and what he has set out to do. So let me go back, and I think Mr. Fraser is well intentioned, but I think that unless you start to peel back the layers on the why, then you're just, with all due respect, you're just blowing smoke. All right, so fair use. This is a short. Most of you have seen this already. Fair use.
Are not married. 29% will never get married. 63% of our brothers are not married. 30% of them will never get married. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full human potential without family at the center of their culture. This only exists. This is an interesting but negative statistic. This phenomenon of the existential crisis of our family only exists among African American Black people. It does not exist on the continent or anywhere else in the diaspora. So there must be something in the water. We must fix this. It is a lot easier said than done because it is impacting our wealth. Quick statistics. For 350 years, household median income was dominated by white people. They were number one in this country. They no longer are number one, they're number three, and there's a reason for it. So who has the highest household median wealth in America? It's East Indians, $104,000 a year. What's the marriage rate in the East Indian culture? 94%, two are working. Who's number two? Chinese Asians. Household median income, $110,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. Number three are white people. Household median income, $88,000 a year. What's the marriage rate? Almost 50%. Down significantly. Number four are Hispanics. Household median income, $61,000 a year. Marriage rate, close to 70%. We are at the bottom. Household median income, $55,000 a year. Marriage rate, 34%. And projected based on facts and statistics that if we do not fix this, because white folks ain't fixing this, our marriage rate will be in the low teens in the next 20 years. This is an enormous challenge. That's a whole talk by itself on how do we fix it. It can be fixed, but we have to, first of all, understand that this is a problem. No one's talking about this problem. This is a huge problem. It's the number one problem in our culture. So we must fix it.
So again, I think George, hold on. StreamYard is doing its thing. Okay, so hold on. All right, I get nervous when that antenna thing shows up. Everybody, please smash that like button. We're about to get to the Jeff St. James content, which is why you guys are here. I think George Fraser is, and I have one of his books back there somewhere too. He's a pro-black wealth guy. I think he's well-intentioned, but again, unless you address what's really going on, then you're just blowing smoke. It's not about love songs. It's about some of these same things that Jeff St. James and others are talking about. So what are the root causes? Alonzo Hall, the All-Star Advisor, is here. Thank you for being here. Oh, the GOAT has entered the chat. Passport OG is here. Reynolds says, you can't make family with treasonous ladies. The relationship laws don't support plantation politics, game for men, rigged game for men, and women know it. Okay, yeah. So again, he's well intentioned, but until he's ready to talk about what's really going on, then it's all for naught. Okay, so Reynolds, I'm gonna give you a wrench. So speaking of, I like to have fun. You guys know that. Speaking of, by the way, this short is here in case any of you guys want to bookmark it. I have a 13-hour car ride with my mother and my uncle in September, so these things will certainly come up. That link is there. So, speaking of forming healthy Black families, and Ray Alexander's here. All right, Ray Alexander's here. We talked about social class and aspirational Black families, and lo and behold, Ray Alexander shows up. Salute. All right. So, speaking of fixing what's wrong with manhood and masculinity in Black families, let's see what the Obamas have to say. I'm not going to play this whole thing. Everybody's been clipping this most recent discussion involving Barack and Michelle and Craig. So April Chapman, I like this sister. She made a video on it. That video is in the description box. I could have used Anton's or MTR's or somebody else's, but I'm just going to show a few minutes of this, and then we'll move on to Jeff. So what advice, what remedy does Barack have for masculinity and fixing Black families, and as I'm sure Ray Alexander's interested in, pairing off of more aspirational and elite Black young men and women? What advice does Barack have for this? Fair use. This is April Chapman. Fair use.
Y'all, this man took a whole sharp left turn into identity politics and said this. Take a listen to this clip.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or whatever.
I love it when Barack hesitates. He knows he's saying something strange, and he goes, "Who's?" I love it. I love when Barack speaks, man. He uses the hand motion, and let's go back. All right.
They have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. So that I think is creating that community. I know it's corny, but that's what they need.
And we said what now? Come again. Since when has that been a thing, sir? Let me repeat. Y'all, let me just repeat what he just said. He said one of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was from a gay guy. And he says he would call him out, and when he would start saying ignorant things, like he could count on this person to kind of check him. And he was like, you need that. You need that person in your friend group. And I'm like, so now we've gone from boys need dads to boys need gay friends. How did we get here? Can anyone explain that? Did you see that on your bingo card today? Not I.
All right, I'm going to play that snippet one more time, then we'll move on. They said some other interesting things, the Obamas and Craig, and I'm going to mention those before I bring up Jeff's videos. Fair use, fair use. We're gonna look at this one more time. Fair use.
Obama fashion. Y'all, this man took a whole sharp left turn into identity politics and said this. Take a listen to this clip.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. So that I think is creating that community. I know it's corny, but that's what they need.
And we
said what now?
All right. So the Obamas, peace, Tony. The Obamas said some other interesting things in there. One of them was they obviously took a run at the male spaces online, the quote unquote manosphere. But also they made the comment that, yeah, sports teams, those are good. Playing video games with your buddies, doing things with your guy friends, that's good. But you still need to learn how to, they keep coming back to empathy, having empathy. That's a word that keeps coming up, especially with Michelle. But you know what? Passport OG is here. And I thought of a pop culture reference. And I wondered, and I told my brother this, if I could talk to the Obamas, I would ask them, Barack, Michelle, Craig, what have you been doing down here? Who are you working for?
What have you been doing here? Who are you working for? Roz, how cool is dead? Who are you working for? Dr. Green isn't here right now. But if you'd like to make an appointment.
All right, that some of you guys are probably looking and wondering what the hell. Tony understood it. I'm sure Passport OG understands it. There's a scene from Batman Begins, classic film, one of my brother's favorites by Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan. And Bruce turns the fear gas on the Scarecrow, and he demands to know, who are you working for? What have you been doing down here? And that's the same question. I don't know that I'd spray the Obamas with fear gas, but I would ask them, who are you working for? Who's telling you to push this stuff? Whose agenda are you pushing? Because this certainly doesn't help young boys. It doesn't help the creation of more Black families. Barack, Michelle, Craig, who are you working for? All right. So we have a form of masculinity that they're pushing. We've had the whole dissenter men, toxic masculinity, a whole litany of things over the last 10 to 15 years. And Kevin came, okay, and that name infuriates people. A lot of ladies will fight you and cut you off and not talk to you because of Kevin Samuels. I've experienced that personally. And when he, of course, you know that when he passed away, a lot of ladies danced, on his grave, danced on his grave. He's gone, he's dead. But an interesting thing happened. He died, but all of the talking points didn't. The messaging didn't die, and there were people who kept playing his videos, and there were even ladies, which was fascinating, that there were ladies who came out and said, you know what, he was right. He was right. He was right. He was right. Okay, about a lot of things. Okay, we might not have liked his tone, but he was right. Okay, so recently, another gentleman has come up and has been talking a lot of the similar points, but what's interesting is the packaging is different. The image is clean cut as well. Okay, but this gentleman is a therapist, a professional therapist, and I first saw him on the show in the thumbnail for this live stream. Okay, and he surprisingly said many of he said a lot of things that Kevin and others have said. I think that Valdez, you guys know who Valdez is, the angry man. He gave reaction last week about, regarding, I've been saying this stuff for the last 10 years. So now this guy in the suit comes up and he, now he's saying this stuff. And how come I don't get no credit for things that I've been saying for the last 10 years? That's Valdez, the angry man. So that element is back. And I think that depending upon what the messaging is, it very much matters who is delivering the messaging. I see angry man's point, though. I mean, if you were saying this stuff first, you should get credit for it. And that's something I think Kevin fell out with the late Alan Roger Curry, one of his frat brothers. They fell out over the possibility of segs. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. So that matters. But he's been making the rounds, and now he is kind of launched off on his own channel. And so the question is, as we get to know this gentleman, let's see where things go. One of my biggest observations about Mr. St. James is that I think that it will be hard to discredit him and smear him. He's going to talk about that in the second video that I have here. This first one is really, really short, but it's going to be hard to smear and discredit him, call him gay. It's going to be hard to poke holes in his credentials. It's going to be hard to dig up dirt on this gentleman. So I think that's the biggest thing, that they won't be able to smear him and destroy him the way others have been smeared and destroyed and shamed. All right. So let me cue this up and we'll watch this, and then we'll watch the second one, and then I will wrap up. His channel is called the Ask a Brother podcast with Jeff St. James. Oh, that's the wrong one. Fair use, Jeff. I don't think you will mind me showing this. I think this is the welcome video from his channel. Fair use, fair use.
Hey, I'm here. So welcome to your soon to be exit from the Matrix. I am your host, Morpheus, and the plan. Y'all, thank you. It's really, really dope and cool to see people value what's going on up here. Because sometimes we all can get lost in our own lives. And I'm really, really excited about this amazing opportunity. you know, people for years have been kind of pushing me to kind of do this and take what I know and what I've been doing with my life for the last decade and kind of bring it to the mainstream, into the real world, both as a therapist, as a man, as a guy who has his mistakes and flaws like everybody else, and just bring all of that to the public square. I'll tell y'all this is for me more or less like a thought experiment of purpose. Years ago, you know, you can't imagine what it's like to be sitting across from the people I've recently been sitting across from and talking to, and knowing that not that long ago, I was looking up at the night sky, wondering if I even wanted to be here, questioning what was my purpose and meaning for life and if I would ever find it, and looking down and deciding if I wanted to end it. So instead, I obviously chose to stay, and I think I found that purpose. And I think there's a reason for why you're here and why I'm here. So, you know, I'm going to very, very early point out all my flaws, mistakes, shortcomings, because I feel like if you're going to do this thing, it's better to come from the horse's mouth than to wait till you get built up for people to tear you down.
So that goes back to it's going to be harder to smear him and tear him down the way others have been. Okay, he's gay. He's not a real therapist. He's divorced. He doesn't, he's not with any, those kinds of things. Fair use.
I'd rather just skip over that. This is the raw cut version of me. These are the things I've done. This is what I'm learning, and this is where I'm trying to head. And see if you all are open to potentially wanting to learn and grow with me as well. So real quick, why do I want to do this? I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I'm not trying to be famous. I think that at max, maybe this is a 5-year run if I'm allowed to do it and don't get kicked off the internet, or, somebody come for me or something. I guess, I take myself seriously enough to where I feel like I can have a positive impact, but not enough to where I feel like I want to be famous. I think I just want to help in the small ways that I can.
I think that's huge, that he's not setting out to be famous. So maybe we won't see him on BET. And also, I don't think in his content you'll see him rating the beauty of callers. So there'll probably be there'll be less of a circus here, okay, than there was on Kevin's show. And that's one of the things that made Kevin's show unique, but it also got people very, very emotionally charged. Average at best, you can't choose a 7. Height, weight, dress size. I don't think. Well, we have to wait and see. Okay, might need to change the battery on this mouse. Fair use.
I want to believe, like, this is my thing. What if men better understood women? What if men better understanding women would lead to like homes, us having homes again? Like, what if women understanding men would lead to them wanting the best for men as much as they would want for themselves? And then what if we, like, would the gender war be over if men and women better understood each other and sought to create homes and unity again? Maybe I'm naively optimistic, but I think there may be a way in which we can kind of work towards that again. And imagine like if the gender war would be over as a result of that. I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool. Definitely a topic I want to do. And now imagine that same mindset and applying it to politics, applying it to religion. So, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to teach you all something that I've been learning and trying to do on my own, which is, can we figure out a way to decentralize our thoughts from society and everything we've been taught to believe, and how to think and how to behave and how to move and what to say? I want us to be freer, smarter, and more powerful than maybe we've been led to believe that we're capable of being.
Toya made an interesting comment there. Of course, Toya always brings lots of insight. She says, "Passport OG, it makes me miss my great granny more and more." In his discussion with Kendra, Crimson Cure, Kendra pointed out that there are fewer there are fewer and fewer Black family reunions. And if you think about that, for Gen Xers, I think we grew up with that. We grew up with, and my family, as far as I'm concerned, my family didn't have enough of them. But that's a part of the freedmen / foundational Black America. That's part of our culture here, just like lion dancing and the foods we eat and our fashions. Family reunions are a part of our history and a part of our culture, but we're starting to see fewer and fewer of those because we have fewer and fewer nuclear families. Okay. So I thought that was profound. I think Kendra raised that point. Fair use, fair use.
So yeah, in closing, welcome to my channel, Ask a Brother. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Who knows, I may end up on more brands, but just know I'm going to try to be me. I'm not going to try to be anybody else. I don't have the debate skill set of Andrew Wilson. You know, I don't have the perspicacity of Andrew Tate. I don't have the clinical or years of experience of Dr. Jordan Peterson. And I don't even think I have the swag of you know, the late great Kevin Samuels. I'm just Jeff. And in a space where I think a lot of people are very inauthentic and coming at things for the craziest motives and reasons to get famous and get on, I'm just going to try to split it down the middle and call it as I see it, own up to it when it's my stuff. And my hope is that when I'm done this project, more and more people will be inspired to be better versions of themselves, that I'll grow from it, that you will grow from it. And, you know, I hope between now and when this chapter is over, I'm me.
So you guys, let me know what you think about Jeff thus far, what you've seen of him, his talking points. Let's see, who was this said that said that? Yeah, AW said understanding question mark. This sounds like the We Need to Talk podcast. So shout out to, I think it's Alan. I think, yeah, he's an African brother. He made pretty good. He makes pretty good content. Charles is here. Charles, I saw Superman. It was interesting. AW said, Charles, hold on, man. I'm not done with my presentation. He says, we just had our family reunion 2 weeks ago, over 100 people there. I never heard my white counterparts talk about their family reunion. Yeah, that's a part of our culture, or it was a part of our culture here in the United States. Fair use, fair use. After this video, I'm going to play the next one.
So I'm basically going to merge the Truman Show with the Matrix, where I want us to break out of the Matrix, and I'm going to actively work towards showing you the things that I'm learning as I try to do that myself. I want to just be better than I was last year, and I hope that you feel the same way. So again, thank you. Welcome. This is the beginning, and stay tuned because I got a really, really dope surprise. Literally just finished the episode with a very, very big podcaster, and many of you will know who she is, and that'll be my full-fledged, I guess, intro to the rest of the world, and we'll see what comes of it.
He was probably referring to his discussion with Crimson Cure.
So join, share, and men, women, children, welcome, and let's see what it is. Take care, y'all. Peace.
So again, guys, there's a difference between a lot of us here use the live stream model, but he's a lot of the bigger content creators use the podcast, where it's pre-recorded. So he's been doing a lot of podcasting, except when he was on with Kendra, that was live, and he's on with Dr. L right now. But Darwin, I can't think of Darwin's name, but he's been hitting the podcast circuit. Okay, so I think the second one I think he was just starting there. The second one, he's a little further along, and he experienced the attempts to get him smeared and discredited. So I'm going to play that one. That one's about 12 minutes. Then I will wrap up. It looks like Charles wants to come up and say something, but I'm going to keep this one tight. But you guys let me know what you think about Jeff. Is this a flash in the pan? Um, is he taking Angry Man's talking points? What will is he here for good, for bad? What say you? Okay, fair use, fair use. I'm going to play this one, and then I'm going to attempt to bring the stream to an end. Fair use, fair use. This one is 12 minutes.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's been a very, very interesting last 2 weeks. As you could imagine, a whole lot of crazy stuff's been going on in my life, and I wanted to give y'all a couple updates, as well as what today's topic would be, which is they are coming for me. They are coming for your boy. Long story short, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the feedback. I really genuinely took a lot of the feedback in about, the direction I should go in terms of how to approach certain things, in terms of how to communicate to both men and women. But the hate has been crazy. They according to those that dislike what I've had to say so far, apparently I'm a hater of women. Apparently I'm gay. Apparently I have a fake degree and I'm not a real therapist. That's news to me.
So a little into his journey, there have been attempts to discredit him already. You hate women. He's gay. He's not a real therapist. Okay, when you share the talking points that he's shared and care about men and family formation and as he'll describe, question what women are doing today, you're gonna take slings and arrows. Fair use, fair use.
So you could imagine folks is scouring the internet looking to see how they can shut your boy down and potentially get me to lose all my income. So it's unfortunate that people try to approach things in that way, but that's public life, I guess. Unfortunately, I don't know that they thought about the possibility that I not only intentionally did this, but I intentionally wanted to get those specific reactions from them. And I had 3 traps in mind. The first of which was number 1, Kevin Samuels. Now, I can recall not that long ago, constant thing that was said was, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And everyone was talking about, not everyone, but the ones who were like, the ones that really hated him, they were like, we don't like his tone. We don't like, how he's saying it to women. He's so disrespectful. And I really tried to make a concerted effort to not do that.
So I was told by an AKA from my undergraduate institution, Johns C. Smith University. We were dialoguing on Instagram. She said the same thing. She said Kevin Samuels makes valid points, but it's the way he says it that doesn't sit right with me. So they can't say up to this point that Jeff's dialogue and his delivery is caustic or cutting or they can't say that about him. All right, up to this point, his talk is aggressive. His words are antagonistic. They can't say that about him.
Didn't matter. So it turns out one of my strategies was to prove that for many people who were against many of the true things that Kevin Samuels and Crimson Cure and many of the other commentators and podcasters have been saying, that is true about what's wrong in society and our culture and within our dynamics between men and women. Turns out a lot of you, it really wasn't about tone or how to say it. You just didn't like the messenger. And you felt like because you didn't like who it was coming from or how it was packaged, you could reject the truth. And
Ray Alexander, you still out there? I'm wondering if you're still out there and how you're viewing all this, and how do Jeff's talking points square with your worldview in terms of assortative mating and highly accomplished, highly ambitious individuals getting together and everybody else needs to stay in their lane. How does this all jive with your viewpoint? Ray Alexander, if you are still there, respectfully, I am asking. Very useful, very useful.
And believe it or not, that was actually my goal. And to further prove that I think they really weren't interested in the truth, these were the same people that cheered when that man died. So honestly, I'm not super duper interested in wanting their praise when I saw what they were willing to cheer for. But strategy number 2, or trap number 2, is I wanted to expose the current zeitgeist that we're in presently in Western countries, especially in America. We are in a mental, verbal, cultural, and political matrix of control by Marxists, extremists, third and fourth wave feminists. We are in a gynocentric, femme-centered society culturally. And I think in the quest to kind of move us away from the patriarchy and de-center men, there was an option to kind of center both of us, to center families, to center community. Instead, the far extremists of the feminist movement decided we should prioritize and kind of center women and be female centered. This is why you'll hear terms like, as proof of this, believe all women, happy wife, happy life. They can pretty much be allowed to define what a real man is. They are allowed to say what's wrong with men, and their feelings can be above facts, even if it goes completely against their argument or their ideology. You know, it's one of those things that's pretty much infiltrated every major area of our culture and society, from schools to HR departments, the media, you name it. And basically the conclusion is that it was socially acceptable to point out men's bad behaviors, and we aren't allowed to do the same with women. Now, why is that problematic? Well, one, when women try to do it, they're called pick-me's, and they're told to have internalized misogyny and that they need to decenter men. But when men do it, what I've noticed both for myself and with other people, there seems to be a pattern of attack. And this was the second point I wanted to make. I wanted to expose how rampant and normalized this culture of primarily centering women and women's feelings and women's issues and women's concerns and women's perspectives. Anyone that steps out of line against it, especially men, this is typically the pattern of attack. They're called the misogynists. They're told not that, you know what, maybe what he's saying could be true, and maybe this is something I as an individual woman or us collectively need to improve on. Instead, they say, nope, if I don't like what he's saying and it's about us, he has to hate women. Then they go to the second part. They'll call you sassy if you continue to engage. They'll call you gay. If you have a relationship, they'll try to figure out a way to undermine it or destroy it.
He gay, girl. I thought what was powerful there is he just basically a minute or so ago, he basically said we're in a matrix. So he in a roundabout way brought up the significance of the term the red pill. So we are and he used the word zeitgeist, which basically means a realm of being. Zeitgeist. Jeff uses that word a lot. An ethos, an ether, a realm of being, zeitgeist. And here, okay, he's talking about being discredited if what you are saying, if someone doesn't like what you're saying, particularly the decenter men crowd. All right. Now, these are things that George Fraser, if I met George Fraser, I'd say these are things that you need to focus on, sir. These things that Jeff is talking about. These are things that are leading to the marital rate in the toilet for the Black community. These are things that you need to focus on. Not the music, George Fraser, but these things that Jeff is talking about. Very useful, very useful.
Will obviously attempt to go through your past, scour the internet, find out what they can to try to expose you, to hopefully destroy your credibility and kind of, remove you from the audience, so to speak. And then lastly, they'll come for your credentials and they'll try to destabilize you economically, with the hope being that you will believe what we believe and say what we allow you to say. And we will do all that we can do to break you until we get you to be silent and in submission. That is the environment that we're currently operating in and have been for quite a while. when it comes to men speaking out about dating, relationships, and general habits that's happening in the culture. Not when I say something about men, only when I say something about women. But number
Ray Alexander, thank you for acknowledging that you're still here, or announcing that you're still here. He says, I'm listening. I still view assortative mating as important. People tend to marry other people with similar interests, values, education, social class, and economic status. That's the normal. All right, Ray, respect. Thank you for acknowledging that you're still here. All right, fair use.
Number 3, and this is the one that I think probably hits home the most. I wanted to do a social experiment by kind of throwing some of these things out there during these podcasts. And I had an hypothesis that there was a rampant, very normalized, just distaste and hatred and lack of care for men and men's issues. I think based on everything we've been seeing online and a lot of these comments, I think my point has been proven. And I know this because with everything I just said so far, most of you men and women would acknowledge in 2025, everybody knows what the term is for a strong hatred and distaste for women: misogyny, or being a misogynist. Fortunately, a lot of people did not hear and or find out what the equivalent was for having a strong hatred and distaste for men. That's called being a misandrist or misandry. The fact that you didn't know, or the fact that you just found out, is proof that we've actually been functionally, culturally in an environment where one half of the population has been above reproach and the other half are the only ones that's seen as sinners.
So that one comment right there is worth the price of admission. Raising up and advancing the vocabulary word misandry, which is a hatred for men. Coming where I've come from, I didn't know what it was when I experienced it. I have experienced it. Yeah, so it's powerful, and I appreciate that he is raising that, because all we ever hear about is misogyny, but misandry is alive and real, and this is something George Fraser and others need to take a look at. And I think that a lot of people from that generation, the boomers, who are looking around and saying, okay, there are fewer family reunions, they don't know that any of this is going on. They just see that there are no family reunions, and they don't know that this is going on. But the hatred for men is real. It may be more rampant than the hatred for women. So I salute Jeff for advancing this one talking point. Fair use.
So with this social experiment of trying to expose this rampant distaste and hatred and lack of just genuine care for men and men's issues, case in point was like paternity tests. What were many of the comments that were being said? Stop whining. Why should we care? Men created the system, so men need this men's issue. Oh, that's an apex fallacy, by the way. And I also made a point in the Sharing My Truth podcast with the two lovely ladies. I had said the only time a lot of women will care about men is often if they are in a relationship with them, if they are related to them, or if they can control him. And I think that my point has been proven. They expose themselves when we bring up something or anything that is a benefit to women at the expense of men, and they will not and won't want it to ever change.
So that point right there, that was powerful as well. I mean, there are interviews of numerous mothers online now who say, you know what, I didn't really think about this until I had a son. I didn't really understand this until I had a son. Tamron Hall, anybody? Okay. I can't think of who else said that, but I know Tamron Hall had that epiphany that I have a son now, and I could see all these things that are in his way that might hurt him. And we have to look out for the boys, because the boys are failing. It's not until they have, it's not until a lot of women either have sons or have young men around them that they know and that they care about, that they actually see the extent of the potential pitfalls and what's happening around them. All right. Fair use. Fair use.
Maya Angelou, when she said, when someone shows you who they are, you need to believe them the first time. Now, when I use the terms like feminists and third and fourth wave feminists, that actually includes both men and women, because there are male feminists, by the way. I see those individuals, those that are on the farthest extremes of only being able to see good in one sex and not the other, not being able to critically be open to critiquing both sides and seeing as both sides needing to bring something to the table to fix what's happening. We need to start labeling these people as loners. They are loud, obnoxious, narcissistic, entitled, and either rude and or ratchet.
Okay, so I didn't realize this the first time. He just gave us another acronym. So loners. Let's go over that again. And he said male feminists. So I wonder, has anybody heard from guys like FD Signifier or Deontay, his crony, Deontay Cobb? Is that it? Is that what his name is? Since Jeff has shown up on the scene, I'd be curious to hear what FD Signifier's, I mean, other than giggling, other than that insidious giggle, I'd love to hear what his reaction to all of this. Let's go back and see what loner stands for. So we have a new acronym here.
Both sides needing to bring something to the table to fix what's happening. We need to start labeling these people as loners. They are loud, obnoxious, narcissistic, entitled, and either rude and or ratchet. Male and female loners. If you come into contact with them during conversations on social media, in person, and they are loud, obnoxious, narcissistic, entitled, and rude and or ratchet, they are loners. We have to leave them alone. We have to leave them alone on OnlyFans. We need to leave them alone in dating. We need to leave them alone in social interactions until they realize that there is value in terms of the perspectives from the other side. No, we don't need to just center men. No, we don't need to just center women. We need to figure out a way to care about both sides, both issues. And when I or other people point out a particular issue of concern, you've been socialized to believe that if the person that's sitting in front of you is telling you what you want, it's got to be true. And if the person that's telling you something you don't want to hear, it's got to be false. You got to get that out of your head. Get that out of your mental. Sometimes when you're hearing things that you may not like, I'm not saying just believe me off the rip. Don't believe anyone just off the rip. Why don't you go and test it for yourself? Go and research it. Go and look at studies. Go and try to prove me wrong, or go and try to prove yourself wrong. So those are my 3 traps. And as you can see, based off of everything that's happened in the last 2 weeks, hook, line, and sinker, they fell for it. We exposed the Marxist matriarchy that we are living and experiencing as we speak. There's 2 books that I'm presently in the process of working through this summer.
Ooh, he's a reader. So he'd get all the balloons would pop if he went on our Let's Show. He's a reader, just like me. So he's reading 2 books. Reading is lame. Education is lame. Curiosity is lame. So Jeff is reading 2 books now.
Orwell's 1984 and Huxley's Brave New World. I highly, highly recommend that you order both those books. And if you read both those books, you'll learn about the internal and external ways that a civilization can kind of crumble, and how to readily identify it when people in your everyday life, as well as people in the media, politicians, religious figures, and even your common neighbors, could be knowingly and or unknowingly contributing to the decline of our culture and or our society. And now you have a choice of how you want to respond, because you're better able to see it. When your eyes open from the matrix and you take the red pill, you eventually get to a point where you're like, whoa, I actually don't have to just bow down and submit to things that I know isn't true. In life, in my friendships, in the workplace, we can't keep redefining what truth is. Some things are just wrong. And listen, I'm not the perfect candidate. My next episode, I'm going to cover very much in detail my flaws, my brokenness, my shortcomings, and what I've learned from it. And not wanting to be seen as some high, mighty person, but just a human being that wants things to be better. And that if I bring my vulnerability, my honesty, and my transparency on one hand, and my experience, my knowledge, and my desire to learn more on the other hand, I think that perhaps this message can kind of break through and be just one of many messages, not only from me, but others, to really try to come at this thing just differently.
So I like what he said there. He's not looking to, be the star. So I wouldn't expect him to develop Highlander syndrome. And another thing he said that I liked, I don't know if it was with the two feminists from Canada or if it was on Crimson Cure stream, but he also said he's not sure if he wants to raise his daughter and his family here in the United States. Okay, because of the way things are and the way things, and we're not talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about, culture and what a family is, what a man is, what a woman is. We're talking about those fundamental things. He's not sure he wants his daughter to grow up in this construct. And then the other thing I'll say is, going back to us readers, you guys know that I'm finishing up The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. I talked about this on Saturday. He cited A Brave New World in this book. So Jeff is reading 1984 and A Brave New World. And a lot of those authors and movie makers from 20 to 30 years ago, they saw a lot of these things coming. So there's a lot of, you might get called a lame on the Pop the Balloon show, but there's a lot of value in reading books, and a lot of authors, they saw a lot of this dysfunction and a lot of this breakdown coming years ago. So A Brave New World and 1984. We're just about at the end here.
And lastly, y'all, the Kevin Samuels comparisons have been hilarious. So me and my friends, we laugh about this stuff. That was it, Kevin Samuels 2.0, Kevin Samuels reincarnated. Y'all are hilarious, man. That's a high honor to really be compared to that dude. He's an icon, and although he wasn't perfect, I think he opened up a lot of eyes, and I hope to follow suit to do the same. But no, I am not the Godfather. I'm the Godson.
So he has called himself the Godson. So look for that nickname. We're just about at the end here. Ray Alexander asked a really good question there in the chat. Let me see if Jeff has anything to say in these last 13 seconds.
I'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Okay, he'll see us soon. Okay, Shonda's here too. The whole gang is coming out. Ray Alexander, thank you for this really thought-provoking rhetorical question. I will leave this for everybody. To ponder, because I think Ray's question gets to the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule. Are all men treated the same? Are all men undesirable? Ray Alexander asks, another point to consider is whether misandry is applied unequally. Is misandry primarily toward the men women find unattractive? Men women consider physically, socially, and economically unattractive. Okay, so thank you for that question, Ray. Everybody simmer on that and ponder that, as the night goes on and as your week goes on. Shonda says, thank you for being here, Shonda. Shonda says, good evening and peace to the chat. Dr. St. James is a valued clinician. As long as we point the finger at one another over taking introspection, we won't seek a viable solution. So he is a doctor. I was thinking leading up to this, I don't have time for all this stuff, so I didn't go back with a fine-tooth comb and go over all of his credentials. Okay, Abdul, you're going to get me in trouble with these comments. I saw that last comment you made. I'm not going to show that. You're just going to get me in trouble and get me smeared and tarred and feathered. Ronnie, he gave himself a moniker. But part of YouTubing is entertaining. Charles, as long as you promise not to get my stream demonetized and I have to go eat, I will drop the link, Charles, for about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes if you want to come up and react. Remember, don't get my stream demonetized. So be on your best behavior, Officer Faulkner. Ray Alexander. Ray Alexander says, men of high socioeconomic status, men that are handsome, men that are physically fit tend to experience the halo effect with a variety of women. Yeah, I think that's the Matthew effect to Ray Alexander. To he who has much, much more is given. So that tends to happen with these particular individuals that you are referring to there. So Ray is getting back to the 80-20 rule. So we have the officer of the law, Charles Faulkner. We're going to hang on for about 5-10 more minutes. Then I have to go eat. Sir Faulkner,
How you doing?
what say you?
Traditionally, women have broken rules for men they find attractive and put up barriers and restrictions for the men they don't. If a man they find irresistible, they're going to make it very easy, if pretty much lie down in green pasture for that man. But if it's a man that's not attractive or not vetting, he's going to have to jump through hoops. That's the reason why you hear the, can you take me out to trips? Think about it. If they find a broke homosexual fresh out of jail who's irresistibly attractive, how many women will take care of that man? We've seen it many of times. I guess you could call it counseling a young lady from Facebook from a post that I put about the cat lady syndrome. And she hit me up in Messenger about this guy she's dating or in a relationship with. And I asked her very valid questions about, are you submissive? Do you follow your man? But she has this modern woman take on it. Well, if it makes sense, I said, but does it make sense when you go to work? When your boss tell you to do something that you think is unjust, or do you just clam up about it? So when it comes to the 80-20 rule, one, you got to realize this. A lot of women can't even reach the heights of most of those men. They're not going to be in the same arenas. They're not going to be in the same locations. So they're going to be, majority of them are going to be out there, living vicariously through Sierra and others. But the ones who do reach those heights or in those arenas or in those lales, those special and secret societies. Look what we just had with Diddy. Cassie tried to come out as a victim, and then as the case went forward, you learned that she was basically the accomplice. But yet, she married what? A poor white guy who was so broke that he had to move into his parents' house. But why did she stay with Diddy for so long if he was this abusive? Quote unquote. So we got to look at things very, very openly. And, I don't know if you saw the comment when they were talking about Kevin Samuels' tone. It was never about tone. It was about the mirror. A lot of people don't want the mirror presented in front of them because they often hate what they see in reflection. It's funny because when you look at the word accountability, you almost never hear that from most women. It's always what the man does. Now, do we have some women out there? Yeah, they're very few and far between. But they always talk about what the man must do. You never hear too many women say what I'll do to attain that high value man. And I always wondered because I asked the lady who I guess you could call it a counseling session with her, what are you doing to obtain a higher man? You literally told me the man you're dating in a relationship, he wants to be a stepfather. I said, does he have any children of his own? Are you capable of giving him children? You already have 6. Why pick him? He said he came from his grandmother's house. He doesn't have a real career. He plays the game all the time, which I have no problem with playing the game. I mean, you have to keep it you have to keep things in perspective, of course. But why do you choose this man? Because, and she's trying to go, hopscotch around it. And quite often we get to this conundrum, and one of the biggest things you notice when you speak to people about these issues is that nobody wants to address the person themselves. Nobody wants to look in the inner and said, I am the accomplice to my own destruction. A lot of
Mhm.
people a lot of people are scared of the inner revelations that's going to appear. If I keep doing the same exact thing each and every time, expecting a different result, what would you call me, doctor?
Insane.
Insane.
The
But
definition of
yet,
insanity.
but yet, nobody wants to take that accountability of being insane. I'm supposed to be nasty spirited, picking the worst of the worst when it comes to mates, and I'm supposed to live this $1 billion lifestyle. That's insanity. Everybody will tell you that. But when shows like Kevin, BGS, Angry Man, others, and I guess I could put myself there, speak about these subject matters, and this, the new doc on the street himself, what do you get? You get chastised. Think about it. Every time they try to talk about leadership, when we talk about leadership in their brain, they think in control. When we give a rebuttal, they think of homosexuality. When we give accountability, they're thinking woman hating. Every time we have some logic, they're trying to think of the opposite. Or actually gaslight into another conversation. You ever debated a person and they wanted to try to bring up something and move the goalposts? That's constant because
Yeah.
they don't want to deal with themselves, and it's a shame because when I'm looking at this guy, I guess he would be. I think for right now, from what we're seeing, he's very, you know, genuine. He comes off genuine right now, as we see. He's working the YouTube chitlin circuit as he should. Get the name out there. I really think that he probably didn't he probably didn't expect as much hate as he's received already,
Mhm.
because that's a new thing for content creators, because you will never believe how many people will hate you and call you this and say, I've had Cynthia G said I wasn't a real cop, and there's times you see me in full uniform. There's all kinds of credentials I can present. So I understand what happens there. So when he's going through this, even though you take a slower approach, it's never the tone. It's the message. It's the truth. A lot of people cannot stand the truth because the truth is going to set you free, and it's going to unopen all lock boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Charles, I think that's a good landing spot.
Oh yeah, and trust me, I'm on my best behavior, Doc.
Yes, you are.
We say
Quick,
that for cigar lounge.
quick question: what do you make of and then I gotta go. What do you make of Obama's Barack's his advice, his about his professor. If you don't have an answer right now, that's okay.
I'll give you an answer. I'll give you an answer.
All right.
You're either die the icon or you live long enough to look like a fool.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen a couple self-destruct their own legacy so thoroughly as the Obamas. These people were not just black royalty, they're American royalty. And I've never seen such self-destructive behavior. As Frankie Beverly once put it, self-pity prisons that they will actually incarcerate themselves in. It's one thing if I have a friend who so happens to be gay, but straight males do not purposely seek out the advice of gay men because gay men are contradictory to straight men in thought and in action. Am I correct, Doc?
Yeah.
So why would I get lessons of masculinity from you when the majority of gay men forsake their masculinity?
Yeah.
And it's nothing against gays or lesbians or anything, but it's a question. It's one thing if my friend just so happens to be, why can't I just have a friend who just gives good advice? It should not matter about their race, their religion, their creed. It's you already have a father figure problem in the black community, in the black society. That's not going to be an end all or helping solution for young black boys when, number one, everybody else in their community get to be manly except us without question. That's not a good way and a good statement by a former sitting president, is it? No, that's destructive. And it's pretty foolish because to appease whomever, Democrats, liberals, whomever, and to make a statement like that, why should we go out our way to do that when we can't even educate our boys properly? Notice you never hear him or his wife speak about that. And sometimes it gives credence a little bit to what Michelle said about she's glad she never had a son. Now nobody talk about that Miss Sandra's comment and in depth because there's a lot of women who, if they never had sons, would carry the same male-hating flag burning like anybody else. But this is I'm gonna end off on this one. It's very easy to talk about something when you still have the option to get in it or out of it. What happens when that happens to your grandsons? What happens when it happens to your nephews? What happens if your daughters marry and their husbands are involved in some misandry? It's very easy when you don't have any fuel to the fire until you're part of the log. But I'll end up there. Thank you for having me, Doc.
All right, Charles. Thank you for coming up. All right, everybody. Gotta go. Shout out to my dad. When are we gonna eat? When are we gonna eat? My dad's been asking that in recent years. All right. Shonda says, if one can't be accountable to themselves, why would one expect them to be accountable to someone else? Total delusion. We'll rewatch the stream from the beginning. Peace and blessings to all. Thank you, Shonda. Thank you for coming through. Indigo Flow says, I'm inclined to think he knew that. He was just allowing them to prove his point. All right. Thank you to Abdul Gaines for the generous Cash App. I appreciate that. Appreciate any support that I get here. Everybody, I showed some books. I'm a new a newly published author myself. This is part one of my basketball story, but as I described at the beginning of the stream, as a youngster, I was looking to be a part of something. I was looking for mentorship, and I think the Obamas kind of downplayed the importance of that for a young man in their discussion, but that's very, very important, and that's the basis of my story. That's underpinning this basketball story. So the hardcover and the paperback I'm selling. Oh, Jeff, you are omniscient, man. I think that's the right word. Omniscient. You are all knowing and all seeing. Well, since you're here, Jeff, if you're up to talk to, I'm a little guy relative to the big sharks and humpback whales and great white whales in the YouTube ocean. If you're up to do a Q&A with me, I do pretty good interviews. I would love to do a one-on-one with you when you have time. So yeah, I have an email address, or I'll follow you on Instagram, or we'll link up if you're up for that at some point. Let me know. Appreciate that, and thank you for the points that you have asserted up to this point and brought back out into the limelight, like Miss Sandry, and asking some of the hard questions that you've asked, even though you've taken some slings and arrows at this point yourself. So thank you for doing that, and I appreciate that, and we're all appreciative of that. I'm going to throw my social media up here really quickly. Yeah, if you're, and I'll follow you on Instagram as well, and DM you if you're interested in talking some time. Yeah, I definitely be interested in that. But when Jeff came in, I was advertising my book. Yeah, so the hardcover is going for, to my YouTube subs, I'm selling that for $25. In the paperback, I'm selling that for $22. Just use one of those payment methods in the ticker. On Amazon, that hardcover is $35, and the paperback is $27. So if you're interested in that, yeah. So with that, everybody, thank you, Jeff, for coming into my chat right here at the end. Appreciate that. Yeah, everybody, as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Jeff, are you still there? He's probably gone. He probably popped in and bounced out. I need to eat, but I'm tempted to drop the link. He's probably gone. Okay, let me go ahead and eat. All right, everybody, have a good night, and yeah, I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.